It's a all right. Okay, my friends. Well, look, I'm gonna make sure that we start on time and honor those of you that are here on time. I want to introduce very quickly Mr. Denny Grimes. He has been so kind to volunteer to come teach this class today, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, do I have anybody on here that doesn't want more listings?
Yeah, who has all they can handle?
Don't say yes. If you think you have all you can handle, then call me and we'll get it fixed. Because no, everybody needs more listings right now. Denny Grimes is a bold coach. He is a mega agent. He's an owner of an expansion team, and he's just fantastic. And he's a wealth of knowledge. So he's going to teach you all about how to get more listings in this market or any white hot market for that sake. We're worried about this one today, though. And I'm going to encourage you before I let Denny take over. If you are at all able, I'm sure Denny would appreciate it if your camera was on. No judgment if you look a hot mess. We love you. It's all good. I know from being on the other end, it's hard sometimes when you're looking at a black screen. So, all right, my friends. Denny, I'm going to let you take it away, and I appreciate your time.
Thanks. Well, that's one thing Warren's never been, is a hot mess. So anyway, thanks so much for letting me come on with you guys. I feel like you guys are home. Not only am I in Fort Myers, Southwest Florida, kind of the same type of coast, I am a USF Bull. So I graduated my undergraduate, graduate degree. So I went to school at USF. And my first football experience was in the big sombrero for the Bucks. I'm a big Buck fan. And you'll hear a reference to that here sometime in this hour. And you know what? We've got a pretty great little intimate group here. We can become alive. And I am going to give you some tips where you can get listings in a white hot market. So just a little bit, I want to give you some resources. So I have a podcast, or actually a YouTube channel that I do a lot of training, and I have for the last year, since how we haven't been going out via Mold Coach. So it's all free to you if you go to Denny Grimes Mastery Real Estate. And if you hear something here, you'd like more information, hey, I'm just a hop, skip, and a jump away. You can email me at dennydelivers@gmail.com. Now, if you have not set the viewing of your screen, if you've got Brady Bunch, you may want to select speaker or select me, because I'm going to be showing you some things behind on this TV monitor, and it'll be a lot easier for you to read. So if you haven't done that, you may want to. All right. So that's my YouTube channel. And every Tuesday, some of you guys have been on there. I have a mastery level role play class that's free, 1 to 2 Eastern time. And what I will demonstrate with you today is what I do on the call. My little stick is question-based, which is not unusual. Listening enhanced conversational scripts. And we keep going over and over that in my team. And what we've been doing for the last year, Warren, is we've been very religious about following Gary Keller's recommendation of the 20% of the 5 things that we should be doing as a real estate agent. And the last one, not necessarily in the order we should do them, is script practice and role play. We've been doing that religiously 4 days a week for a year. And it's amazing. I would put my guys up against anyone. It gives you confidence. And you know what? It helps you close the seller, because you know what? There's a lot of uncertainty, and I'm going to give you some great questions you can ask some sellers in order to what? Get them off the fence. So here's a question people ask all the time. How is your market? Well, basically a year ago, they were asking that in a different way. Now people are kind of excited about it. And what's interesting about this, and this is a fact, we're getting ready to come out with a bold local, and it's in the KW research. It says now people move about every 10 years, and 64% of the people are homeowners. So basically, well, let's just say you're talking to homeowners. That means 1 in 10 homeowner would basically be interested on average of having a conversation with you about getting their home sold. 1 in 10. Now, do you think it's higher or lower right now when we happen to be in a white hot market? What would be your guess, Warren? Higher or lower than 10%?
It's probably higher.
You're right. People are hearing that basically that you take the Zestimate, multiply it by the zip code, and that's what sellers are getting for their houses right now. So people are totally shocked. I would guess that 10% is closer to 30% of the people would have a conversation with you about the potential of what their home may be worth, and is it worth selling? Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, I'm going to come up with seven types of shadow sellers, and the number 6 category is the one we run into all the time, and we call that the homeless seller, the one that would love to sell but have nowhere to go. So we're going to probably cover that one first. You guys have that in Tampa at all?
Yes, just like down there, very much so. Hey, and
Yeah.
everybody else, you can answer him when he asks questions. Just a fun fact.
All right. So would this not be a decent slide of how this market is today? I know it doesn't like my background. However, it is on fire. I can tell you what's more important though than what your market's like. Let's watch this. How is your mindset? Now, depending on what kind of mood you're having today, you'll look at this youngster on a roller coaster, right? What goes through your mind? That could be a home seller, right? And if you're in a negative mood, that could be basically a home seller when they get their appraisal that's 20% less than their purchase price. They're kind of shocked, right? Or if you look on the positive side, that could be the seller with excited about all the people lined up wanting to pay and give that seller an offer over asking price. It really depends on how you look at things, right? So let's talk about, have you heard of anything about COVID in the last year? In fact, there has never been a day, Warren, in the last year that I have not seen our newspaper lead with a story about COVID. I mean, I guess it's a big topic, right? It's no secret it's out there. However, let me put things in perspective. I know COVID has touched a lot of people. It's been a lot of tragedy, a lot of sickness, and people have died from it. I'm not minimizing that. However, let me just be very clinical about this. After nearly 40 years doing this, we have seen market disruptions before. COVID is a market disruption. Hey, you're in Tampa. Do you all remember Gulf oil spill? Do you remember like hurricanes? Do you remember like 9/11? Do you remember 2006? In fact, did 2006 ever happen in Tampa? Yes, those are all market disruptions. And you know what? There's always a level of uncertainty. Now, this is important to understand because the shadow sellers, the ones that are sitting on the fence, have a high degree of uncertainty, which is causing fear. Fear is a terrible advisor, you guys. Now, there's a lot of real estate agents in your market center that are still in fear that, you know what, haven't been back to work. Shame on them. Gary said back in June, now's the time to go out there, get off the couch and go get these sellers because you know what, we're doing them a disservice by not taking them the message. I'll give you the message you can take to them. However, step number one, we have to decide if we're going to be an empathetic agent or sympathetic agent. So Warren, I'm going to ask you this question. I know that we know each other a little bit. However, I'm probably old enough. I'm probably certainly old enough to be your dad. So I didn't watch you grow up. So I was not there on your first day of kindergarten. When you raise kids, your kids will fall somewhere on the spectrum of their first day of kindergarten. Now, kindergarten equals unknown, like our market. And you will either fall into this gentleman. He looks like a young Drew Carey, right? He's excited about stepping into the unknown. He's excited about his first day of kindergarten. You know what? And he'll run in there. He's probably got new clothes on, a Flintstones lunch, Flintstones, that's probably dating me. Power Rangers. I don't know what people have now. Britney Spears lunchbox. I have no earthly idea. And an apple in there for the teacher. That child is not afraid to go in the unknown. That could have been you, Warren. Or would you like more like, or have you known anyone like this we call the clinger? There ain't no way, no how that kid's going in that kindergarten room because they're afraid of the unknown. Now, children fall somewhere on that spectrum, right? Now, that parent has the decision to make. Will she be sympathetic or empathetic? The sympathetic parent's going to say, honey, I don't think you should go to school. I don't like this place. It smells weird. And I didn't like my school either. I never did like school. Why don't you come live with mom till you're 50? Now, is that going to serve that kid well? Probably not. The empathetic parent's going to say, honey, you know what? I know how you feel. I was a little bit tense my first day of school too. Yeah, but 15 minutes into this class, I met some people. We had a great time. School was awesome. You're going to love it. Besides, I got a tennis match. Hurry up, get in there, right? That's the empathetic parent. And so Gary talks about that in shift. Now the market shifts up and down. Emotions shift up and down. And Gary says in shift on page 188, 186, buyers and sellers need somebody to come alongside them with empathy and say, you know what, it's going to be okay. We've got this. I've been through this before. Let me help you step into the unknown. You see, I learned a long time ago with the cars that I had when I was younger, when I was a teenager, I had to buy all clunkers and they stalled a lot. And I realized you can't jump a dead battery with a dead battery. So there's agents out there and people out there that look at the environment we're in right now as a negative one, or there's agents out there and sellers out there that are looking at the opportunity that it's raining dollars. What's your mindset? So I won't bore you with the history. However, if you've been in real estate less than 10 years, you've never seen a buyer's market. In fact, you'd have to Google it to find out what it really meant. And I have seen all kinds of different markets. In fact, I had my own office before I joined Keller Williams, and that was the office. Warren might remember this. I don't know, up here up in Fort Myers. And in 2006, the market crashed, right? And here's the thing I want you to know. Listings right now are harder to find, right? Back then they weren't. Sellers were basically bleeding to death because the market was crashing. We had to put Red Cross signs on our office because sellers were being brought in by medevac, right? It was almost like a MASH unit because the market was crashing. I'm being a little bit tongue in cheek here. Our reception desk was triage, and then our conference rooms were grief counseling rooms. Do you think anybody really negotiated fees back then? Nope. However, right now, this is my reference to Tampa Bay, go Brady. We're in what I have a feeling is what I call the GOAT market, the greatest of all times. Near my 40 years, I don't think we've had a better market in the history of man. What do you think, Warren? Have you ever, well, of course, you're so young. Have you ever heard of a market better than this?
I've been around longer than you think. And yeah, no, this market is amazing. We definitely haven't seen this before.
So my question is this, you guys, in the greatest market in the history of man, why are agents struggling to get business? It doesn't get any better. How about this? This is the axiom you can write down. When listings are easy to sell, they're hard to get. In 2006, when the market crashed, we had listings coming out our ears. They were hard to sell. Why? Because the market was falling. Listen, enjoy this market. Take advantage of this market while you can, because when it turns, and Gary says it will, who knows when, it'll get quiet for a while. So now's the time. And there's two things I know for sure, you guys, right now is that everyone knows a shadow seller. We're about ready to go into the shadow sellers. And if you can take a listing taken is a listing sold. Now, I've taken this because I'm talking about getting listings in a white hot market. There may be more than one reason why you're not getting listings. So let's talk in terms of, let's take the transaction from getting the house sold to the time you get the listing. Now let's break it down. Well, okay, so let's start with the top. You finally get the listing. You can't get listings and never sell them, right? You're going to have to figure out how to sell them. So that is a skill set, right? You got to get the job done. However, what has to happen before you get the listing? You have to win the appointment at the table. Many times, and you just can't always listen with your mom and dad. They can't sell that often, right? Or family members. You're going to have to compete with other agents, and they line up. It looks like the tryout for American Idol with all the agents wanting to line up and interview these people. So you've got to know your scripts. You've got to be able to have a strong listing presentation. Well, what happens before you win at the table? You've got to earn a seat at the table. And that means basically you're going to have to do what? You're going to have to talk to enough people in order to get that seat. Well, before you can talk to enough people, you'd better be practicing your scripts and dialogues, because most people don't lead generate consistently because, one, they don't know who to call, and two, they don't know what to say. And let me take you to the zygote. This is the zygote of basically building a big business. You got to know how to think. You can't be a good agent by stinking thinking. You've got to know how to think. Let me give you a couple examples, because the only market that matters is the one between your ears. So we've just gone over the 6 steps. I won't go over those again. Let's talk about mindset. Let's talk about mindset of lead generation. This is, you guys want more listings. You might have to talk to some more people, but however, if you change your mindset just a little bit, listen, I know you can drive down I-75 with your moonroof open and throw business cards out the top of the moonroof, right? Sooner or later, a cop's going to pick one up as they pull over to give you a ticket for littering. They may have a house to sell. Not a really great model. Imagine this, you're going down the street and you find that wallet. Now that would be awesome, right? We're all good people. We would find the ID, and you know what? We would locate that potential owner of that wallet. We'd have no fear whatsoever of knocking on that door back when that was legal, or picking up the phone and say, I've got your wallet. Yet we won't, we have some resistance of calling those same type of homeowners. And that's the extra equity this market will deliver to them. And they're not getting that information watching Fox and CNN, you guys. And you know what? Many of these sellers have motivation. You would be the answer to their prayers if you just let them know that now is a good time to sell. Would that change your lead generation? How about working with buyers? We're talking about we're in a seller's market. Seller's market. Yeah, I know Gary talks about seller's market. However, how would it change, you guys? How would it change your working with buyers? How would it change their mindset if you never said seller's market anymore? Because it suggests there's a winner and a loser. One person's got the muscles, the other doesn't. Bold says you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. I call it, Warren, a winner's market. It's a winner's market. Why? Sellers win and buyers win. I'll give you the script here in a second. The only person that loses in this market, guys, are lookers. I've not met a buyer as frustrating as it is to get a house. I've not met one that's sorry they did finally when they finally got the contract executed. And here's the script I would use. Hey, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, yes, we're in a winner's market. Yeah, the sellers are receiving extra equity as the prices rise. However, when you enter into a contract, you will begin riding the equity elevator up, just like the sellers. Won't that be fun? After all, would a buyer rather buy in a falling market? I think not. Here's a mindset working with sellers. Many times we get into problems because we think we can predict the market. If you want to win in a white hot market with sellers, write this down. Start setting expectations and quit setting prices. I don't care what type of CMA you do, you cannot predict what will happen in what I believe is an irrational market. I know, case in point, I was talking to a group, Warren, in California, and of course, everything has got a lot more zeros in California, and the CMA said $2 million. And you know what? He said, okay, well, I know that this market's going up, let's add 10%, so we'll go at 2.2. Seller said no. He said, well, seller, I want 2.5. Does it sound normal, right? He said, well, I'll tell you what, let's get an appraisal. The appraisal came in at 2.3. Well, all right, Mr. Miss Seller, let's go at 2.3. Seller said, no, I want 2.5. The only thing he did right was he took the listing. Guess what it sold for? 2.5. So in the same call, there was an agent that basically said this, gave the seller a number and walked away from the listing because the seller wanted more than that number. And that listing sold for the higher number. Listen, start setting expectations and quit setting prices. And this one, which we just talked about. What if you developed the mindset you would never walk away from any listing in this market, regardless of what the seller's initial expectations were? What if you knew how to handle that from a scripting standpoint? Mr. Seller, what will you do if the market says no? And you know what? You know the outcome. There's only 3 outcomes when you list a home. Did you know what they are? And how about this one? Develop the mindset that you guys are free. We are free to a seller. A great listing agent is free to a seller. And you know what my definition of a great listing agent is? It's one that can maximize the return of equity for a seller in the time the seller has available. I mean, selling a house in 15 minutes, I want to quit thumping your chest, you guys. I don't think that really means anything. If they have more time, you could actually take more time. And you could list it, you could take every listing listed at $1 and sell it over asking price. That doesn't make you a great listing agent. There's a strategy involved. Do you understand the market? Gary even says you want to be the local economist of choice. So let's talk about the shadow sellers and the conversations you can take to them. So I'm going to give you 7 sources of shadow sellers. All right. And I'm going to give you 7 reasons why sellers should be on the market now. Not 1, not 2, but 7. How about that? And I'll give you some maybe easy ways to attract sellers to you. And I'll do this through question-based role play. Now, let me start by this. I'm going to give you, I guess I've been preaching this, Warren, for a year or so, and maybe 2 years. And we used to do this class in person. I don't have the same amount of time. Kristen and I would go around. I'm going to demonstrate for you one of the strongest things you can do to build momentum from your database. Warren knows because he's a bold coach. We go through the database exercise and what's your database worth? Are you getting the type of referrals you should be getting from it? Is your database a bunch of sticky notes on a mirror? You guys, look, we're going to have to be a little bit more professional than that, right? So are you leaving money on the table? I can tell you, if I were doing these things correctly, like I'm teaching, or based on my level of database and past customers, I would not have to spend $1 anymore in marketing because there'd be so much business from the database. However, what happens is we have to get the rust off our database. And what do I mean by that? Well, when we're moving and grooving with a client, this is how our relationship looks figuratively with gears. No rust. It's just a well-oiled machine. And maybe we're getting all the way up to closing. We had a great time. We have a great closing with that seller. And we have every intention of staying in touch. But however, what happens, we get busy. We don't have great systems for follow-up. And over time, what happens? Our relationship gets a little bit rusty. And now the interesting thing here, as time goes on, it gets harder and harder in our mind to make that call. And then when we sign up for a class like Bold and we have to make our contacts, we feel a little awkward. Hey, who do you know wants to buy or sell, invest in real estate? And I called today and you haven't talked to them in 5 years. So it's a little awkward, isn't it? So how would you like to get the rust off the database? So what I call this is the WD-40 touch. Now, what does this have to do with getting sellers in a white hot market? Listen, you're not talking to enough people and asking the right question. Now, I'm going to give you great questions, and there's a difference. And Warren, I'm going to need you here just for a second, okay? I'm going to give you the difference between a good question and a great question. Questions are powerful. Listen, Warren, let me ask you, what month of the year were you born?
September.
September. Awesome. That was a good question because I learned something. I didn't know that. All right, now let me give you another example. So if you can watch Warren, just watch Warren here. So, all right, here, I'm going to give you a magic wand. You can pick any month of the year to be born in. However, it cannot be September. What month would you choose?
Well, that's fun. Who knows? Probably June.
Did you see the processing that took place? I mean, he answered the first question like that, like, what's your name? What's your wife's name? What's your kid's name? There's no thinking in there. The second question was a great question because he learned something and I learned something. Now, why is that important? We've got sellers sitting on the fence because they're believing probably a lie or they don't have good information. And there's a bold law. And Lauren, this is very interesting because you know the bold laws by heart. There's one out there that says logic makes them think, emotion makes them act, right? Well, it finally hit me like a V8 during this past year that logic makes them think, emotion makes them not act. Meaning, I'm not going to sell. I'm not going to buy. I'm not going to move. Do you understand that? And sometimes they're believing a lie or they just haven't thought it through. And so when you ask a great question, did you see him? He said, oh, well, they're processing. And what they're doing is literally bringing that issue back from their emotion into their logic. And when they speak it to you, they have to hear it through their ears. It comes into their brain again as input into logic. And sometimes it's enough to crack that stronghold, that fear stronghold that they have on them. Sometimes if there's a couple there, they'll say, well, actually, that makes no sense, does it? And that's the power question. I'm going to give you 7 questions you can ask in order to do that. However, let's go back to the WD-40 touch. Yes, get this, you guys. This is a yippee skippy thing. It's not even a call. You know what? A text is 100% rejection free. I mean, you could send somebody a text and they read it and say, well, I hate that person, and delete it. You'll never know. That's not like them hanging up on you, right? And you can't lose by this because this text is what I call out of the blue. Now, I want everyone to, so this is what I want you guys to do, Warren, because this is important. If they just get the hang of this, it will revolutionize their contacts in their database. So I want you to think in someone. I tell you what, you already know somebody you should be calling, a past customer, somebody you've talked to maybe a few weeks ago, a few months ago, a few decades ago. Whoever is bubbled up in your mind is doing so for a reason. I want you to write that name down. In fact, why don't you just play full on here? Just put one of their initials in the chat so I know you're playing. Just one of their initials, just a letter. See, they're playing. All right, you got a good group, Warren. Now, step 2. I want you to send a message to them here in a second. Let me just tell you this quick story. Dorothy was one of my customers. I had sold her 3 or 4 houses, I think, when they first moved here, and their husband sold. I had about 3 or 4 transactions, probably $45,000 in gross commission income over 8 years, maybe. Well, we got out of touch. And you know what? She sold her condo with somebody else and she bought another house with somebody else. And because why? because I was out of flow with her. So I decided to get back into flow. And this is what I did. When Krista and I, a while back, went to London for a John Maxwell conference. Now, again, you don't have to go to London to do this. You know, it's fun if you do, it's just more expensive. You can do it right from where you are. However, this is what I did. I said, Dorothy, hello there. It's been too long. I wanted you to know I was thinking about you because I'm in London for a business meeting. Being here reminded me of all the stories you and Reg told me about when you lived here. I trust you're doing well. Be safe, Denny. When you send a text out of the blue that has nothing to do with real estate, that just basically, hey, you just pop into my mind today. And I remember at the time, well, they could have been a football fan. Hey, football season's getting ready to start, or the college season, or basically you saw something on Dancing with Stars and you know they like to dance. Whatever it is, you make it a little bit personal and don't ask a real estate question. It'd been 3 years, Warren, since I'd had any conversation with Dorothy. How long do you think it was before I heard back from her? 15 minutes? And all the time in London, we're going back and forth. What's happening, you guys? The rust is coming off the gears. And sooner or later, they're going to ask you, well, hey, how are things going on? Is real estate going crazy? Now you can start talking. Now you've got a conversation. Well, it paid off because about 3 months ago or 4 months ago, Dorothy called me and said, I've got some friends moving down here, sold them a $500,000 house. That's how you get back in. Now, listen, if you already got your gears lubed up, you don't have to do this. You can get more specific. Ask them, hey, look, you're the only one who wants to take advantage of a white hot market. However, you've got people that are laying there that are afraid to call. I challenge you to send a text right now. I want you guys to take a minute and send a text to that initially you said there, and just put a yes that you did it, just a Y or a yes. And you know what? Throughout the next 30 minutes or so, we're going to be on here. If you hear back and you want to share, you'll be shocked what might happen. Okay, so just go ahead and put a yes in there that you sent the text. And I want you to experience how easy this is. So I'm going to move on. Here's the 7 sources of shadow sellers. Here they are. Oops. There they are. And I'm going to go through these one at a time. The should be's, could be's, used to be, just might be, are on the market and not selling, afraid to be and have to be. That's the 7 sources of shadow sellers. I want to deal with number 6 first, if I may. I'm going out of order because I'm seeing a lot of agents dealing with number 6. They're afraid to be on the market because they're afraid they'll be homeless. So we've already gone over the fact that basically you guys are running into this too. I think that problem's solvable if someone just would take the conversation to them. Now, here's the script. Here's the script that I would consider. Notice it says secondly. Well, the first part of it is how you doing. So you're gonna ask them how they're doing. Secondly, there's an extreme shortage of homes for sale. So if I could sell your home for more money in this white hot market, and the buyer would let you stay there until you found your next home, would you entertain that idea, or would that be worth a 15-minute conversation? So Warren, maybe there's some brave soul here would like to role play this, maybe because they've heard it before or they'd like to know how to deal with it. I'll be the agent. All they have to do is be the seller or potential seller.
I'll do it.
Ashley, you're brave.
That's me.
All right, Ashley. So, hey, listen, so we've gone over basically the numbers. You were kind of curious what your house would bring. Are you ready to move forward and getting your home on the market with me right now?
You know, Denny, I'm a little nervous. I have kids and we're getting ready for summer, and I'm just worried that if we don't have somewhere to go by the time school starts again.
Okay. Well, the formula that you want to follow, you guys, and we practice this every week on the role play, is when you hear an objection, just write this down, you acknowledge it. I said, okay, I understand. There's the acknowledgement. You isolate it. This is where a lot of agents kind of their wheels fall off. You answer and then you close. So I'm going to isolate. So I understand, Ashley. So other than that, other than being concerned about somewhere to go, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to take advantage of this white hot market?
No, it's really just finding somewhere to go.
Okay. Well, all right. Now, step 2, and again, there's a couple of steps you can make. However, the step 2 for me would be, I would determine if Ashley is a buyer or a seller, not necessarily both. And this is how I do that. So Ashley, well, let me ask you, do you have to sell this house to get the equity out of this house to go to where you want to go next?
We do. Yep, we need the money for the next down payment.
So is she a buyer or seller, guys? She's not a buyer. She's a seller and a wanter. Now, if they can buy without selling their house, which may be 20% of the people out there, then they can't go back on the reason I don't want to sell because I'm afraid I won't be able to buy something. Just go out there and treat them like a buyer. However, in Ashley's case, she has to sell first, right? So Ashley, step 2, I'm going to find out if what she's looking for is out there and why she wants to move. Why? You've got to understand motivation. Listen, we love listing houses. They don't love listing houses. The only person I know of that loves to go to the dentist's office is the dentist. I don't love to go there. I only go when I need to go there, right? They want to go north. They want to go south. They want bigger or smaller. They have a reason. Write it down. Motivation is the gas that gets them moving. We must understand that not only from an emotional level, a logical level, and an emotional level. So I won't spend a lot of time on that. However, I want you to understand that. So Ashley, have you been looking, why are you wanting to leave this house to go to your next house?
We need a bigger house. I need something with a home office now and probably a bonus room for my kids since they're getting bigger. I need them to have their own space.
Awesome. And you're going to hear that. And so you would want to drill down there a little bit, and what else is important to you, and how will that make you feel when the kids have their own room and you've got that bonus room? So you're going to tie into that emotion. So have you been looking on the internet and shopping for homes? Have you seen anything you've liked?
I've seen a couple that we've liked, yes, but they go under contract very fast.
Got it. Well, if based on the ones you like, if you had the equity from your home, would you be able to afford one of those houses?
I believe so, yes.
Now, what have I just done? I basically discovered that if she's looking, she can leave where she is and she can afford where she's going. You've got to cover that because maybe their expectations are out of whack. Maybe they're moving into another market. They really can't afford anything. And so realistically, they're not going to sell if they can't afford something somewhere else unless they're going to rent. So let me ask you this. Write this down, guys. Don't solve the problem until they first realize don't answer the problem until they first realize they have one. So Ashley, what is your plan to get from here to your bigger home with a bonus room?
Hopefully sell this and then do a close enough to a back-to-back move as we can.
Okay. So then, well, I asked you if you were ready to move forward, and you said you had a concern about not finding the rest in the next house, right?
Right.
So how are we going to secure the next house if this isn't sold?
I was hoping that somebody would let us stay here. I've heard friends that are doing that, maybe for a month or so while we find the next house.
Okay, now if you're listening here, I know that we're flying blind here, so Ashley she's making things up as she goes. It's not computing. So, all right, so that's a great plan. So what's preventing you from getting the house on the market today?
We still don't know the house that we're going to buy. I guess we're just kind of stuck right now.
So
I'm nervous that if we sell it and then there's not one that would come on that we do love.
Well, let's say there was an app we could get for your phone. You could download this app for the phone, and basically this app would give you your equity in your house. And about how much time would you think you need, as houses are turning over there that you'd like, how much time would you need to stay here and you have your equity, you could go buy something? How much time?
Probably 30 days.
Okay. So this app would then basically deposit into your bank your equity. And so you would be ready to take advantage of that next house that came available with no contingencies. Would that work for you?
Yeah.
Now notice, I could have told her a lot of things. However, I'm using I'm using a question-based philosophy because this is what I want you to write down and remember. When they answer a question, their inner voice is 10 times, if not 100 more times more powerful than your outer voice. They've got to articulate this because we're working, when they say it, it's true. When we say it, there's doubt. Well, I don't have an app that would do that. But however, I mean, what if we had a buyer that really didn't want a house right away and loved your house, would give you your price for it, and kind of like you were saying a minute ago, that would buy your house, give you your money, and let you stay here for 30 days while you look for another home? Would that work?
That would absolutely work for us. So
then would you be ready to move forward today on getting your house on the market with that stipulation that we're not going to let just, someone move in and you be homeless? You'll have 30 days to stay in it so you can find another house?
We could do that, yes.
All right, so I'm going to stop for a moment now. Ashley, how did that feel? Did that feel realistic? Were you just being a lay down for me, or what?
No, that felt realistic. We're having these conversations, I feel like, weekly with people.
Are they moving forward?
I don't think I'm asking the right questions for them. I think I'm more telling them that it will be okay, and not asking and not having them think that it will be okay.
All right, that's a great observation. What else are you guys hearing out there? You guys notice, if you isolate, in the way that I walked her through that, I was building kind of a little bit of a, I don't like the word trap. I was basically backing her against the wall with her answers a little bit at a time. Now, if someone is really in that position, is there a rational reason why they wouldn't do it?
No.
Now, don't let your mindset go down the path, and I've done this enough where people are saying they're going to bring up the fact that, well, lenders aren't going to allow you to be in there more than 60 days or whatever. Listen, we're working with a buyer right now that is willing on the right house to let the seller stay there for up to 3 years. Whatever a seller wants in this marketplace right now, there will be a corresponding buyer that will do it. And if you want to find a way that you can start building a kind of a group of buyers and sellers that are yours alone, why don't you find some buyers? Because there's buyers out there that would love to be able to lock in a price in this white hot market and not have to occupy. Why? They have twins graduating college. They want to sell their house. Who knows what? So you find some of these, and what would that look like on your socials if you say, listen, I've got a buyer looking in this price range in this part of Tampa that is willing to let the seller stay there up to 6 months. Is there any seller out there that would be interested in this? You just get a one-time listing. Listen, the advantage to the buyer is it's like VIP shopping at Nordstrom's. There's nobody else looking. They're alone. And the seller saying, all right, if I get my number, it's a match made in heaven. It is an awesome way for you to attract people, and you're totally by yourself. I'm tempted to get my guys to do this. I haven't been able to do it yet. I think it's a great idea. Any feedback on that, Warren? Anybody putting it? Do you like the idea? Put it in the comments. I feel like I'm in the Buck Stadium when they were losing all the time.
Hey, that means he wants feedback, guys.
Now's the time you stop playing Candy Crush and type something in.
I think it's a little bit of self-discovery. It's just really helping them get to that point of discovering on their own. And then those who have, hey, what's my idea to do this, instead of it being somebody else's idea.
Perfect. Awesome. Thanks, Jennifer. All right.
I think our limiting belief is that, like what Ashley's saying, is it's true. The inventory is low, so it is hard to guarantee that we can find them their next home. And so I don't like to just skirt around that. I mean, it's a truth.
Yeah, but notice I asked her how long she would need, and she said 30 days. So if she feels comfortable at 30 days, what if she'd said, well, what if it didn't happen? I would have said, well, you said 30 days. How much time do you think you need to be safe? Well, what if I had 60? Okay, well, then if you had 60, are you ready to go move forward? Well, what if I can't? Whatever they want. You got it?
Yeah.
If they want 90 days, there's a buyer out there that will do it, you guys. Just forget about all that financing stuff. So let's move forward. I want to give you the rest of these really fast. really fast, and we won't role play all these. I'm just going to give you the great question to ask. There's buyers or sellers out there that should be on the market. These are motivated yet fearful. Listen, we lost 40% of the listings about a year ago when COVID first hit. And then there were a lot of terminated listings as well. There's sellers out there that are wanting to move that don't know it's safe to move, or they probably know it's a good time. They probably just don't know how good it is. So this is the great question. So if you want to get out your phone and take some pictures of this, I mean, it's recorded, you'll get the recording. However, take a picture of the scripts. First of all, there's what I said. Hey, look, I'm calling you, Jennifer. 2 reasons for my call. Hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Here's the secondly part. Secondly, did you know there are 7 reasons sellers should be on the market now? Would you like to know what they are? Imagine someone who's motivated and fearful. Now that you say there's 7 reasons why they should be on the market. Do you think that might be worth a 15-minute conversation? Now, what's beautiful about this, you guys, is that if they have no interest, that's okay. You're building a better relationship with your database. So they may say no, that's okay, you win. They may say maybe, now you can have maybe a conversation with them. And they may still say no, that's okay. You have a deeper relationship. They may say yes, which is awesome because a listing taken is a listing sold. So the 7 reasons, let me give you the 7 reasons, because you can market this on your social and it will literally make your phone ring. I guarantee it. If it doesn't make your phone ring, I'm going to enter you into my famous drawing of 2 tickets to Greece. Okay. I'll have a giveaway 2 tickets to Greece every year. It's my favorite movie. Okay. So here are the 7 reasons sellers should be on the market now. Number 1, inventory shortage. Number 2, upward pressure on price. Number 3, less competition as sellers leave the market. If every seller was on the market that wanted to be on the market, our inventory shortage would not be as keen as it is right now. Number 4, buyers in the market are more serious. How many looky-loos you come into open houses? Yeah, Martha, we're going to retire in 15 years. Let's go look at us some houses. That isn't happening. Number 5, there's a spike in buyer activity for sure, right? Number 6, low interest rates. Quit using this one all the time, guys. I mean, the interest rates have been so low, people are just lulled into the fact that it's always low interest rates. Number 7, the window is open now. That will change sooner or later. Listen, a seller right now, and you can use this analogy. If you knew that if you walked up to a slot machine and every time you put in $1, you would win, would you play the slot machine? Then the question is, do you ever see Cinderella? There was a time when the clock struck midnight that everything fell apart. That will happen in this market. So you're guaranteed to win now. You won't win forever. So my question is, you want to win, pull out of the casino one day too soon or one day too late? We've got to put them in that mindset. How about the could-be's? Gary talked about this at family reunion. You guys in Tampa, you've got a lot of snowbirds. You've got a lot of investors. You've got a lot of people on beach condos or whatever. Listen. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, these are people that could be selling in the next 6 to 24 months. It's the same scenario as a homeless seller. Same script. There's an extreme shortage of homes for sale. And if I could sell your home for more money in this white hot market, would you consider selling now versus later? Well, I can't sell yet. My kids are going to graduate high school or whatever. I got to wait for Brady to win the second Super Bowl. Well, if we can find a buyer that will let you stay there until that happens, would that interest you? Number next. Used to be expired, terminated. Listen, if they didn't sell, go back a year, go back 2 years. If the listing didn't sell back then, most likely 1 of 2 things was going on. The agent wasn't talking or the seller wasn't listening. We've seen a 30% jump in prices here probably in the last 18 months. Do you think maybe an unrealistic seller back a year or 2 ago might be able to do what they wanted to do back then? The script, if you could sell your house for more money in this white hot market, would it be worth a 30-minute conversation? Listen, people don't even know how much more money they can put in their pocket. And you've got to use that basically as the hook to have a conversation with them. Next, just might be. This is what I was talking about a second ago. This is the investor in a second home. How many people own condos, second homes where you are? A bunch. Now, they may not be traveling like they used to. They may not want to travel like they used to. And their second home investment property is worth more money now than it's ever been worth. The script, the great question. It's all the same except the end. If you could sell your vacation home, your investment property for more money in this white hot market, would you entertain that idea? We're putting together a list of absentee owners and doing direct mailings to them. We're even, my wife has the service in getting phone numbers, and basically we're taking the message to them, particularly in the states like New York, New Jersey, Michigan. I mean, some states aren't near as open as Florida, and they might want to just cash out. No one else is taking them that message. How about next? These are sellers on the market, not selling. Listen, if you have a listing right now and it's not selling, I can tell you one of three things is going on. So let me give you the script. First of all, seller, I'm concerned that you're going to miss the sudden uptick in the market because we're not positioned. Notice I didn't say price, because we don't say price, we say position correctly. Do you know there are three outcomes after your home is listed? Would you like to know what they are? And I've actually taught this class in your market centers before. Some of you may be using this sheet. This is the most important, the most significant listing form on the planet, because when you list a home, there are only three outcomes. Number one, and I'll send this form to you. If you just email me, I'll send you a PDF. You can add your branding to the bottom of it, and you can add it to your listing presentation. Because outcome number one is low to no showings. If you have a listing on the market right now and you're having low to no showings, the bait is here, the fish are down here. It's going to need a major repositioning. Outcome number two, you're going to have lookers, you're going to have showings, maybe no offers or a low offer. Good news is, you're not super overpriced, you're a little overpriced. It takes a small tweak. Outcome number three, it sells. There are no more outcomes than that. And that's the only thing you need to know based on how you price the home. Because if no one wants to look at it, it's way too high. If people look at it and don't buy it, it's a little bit too high, or it sells. So you email me at, what I give you my email address? Which one was it? Denny delivers training at Gmail. Maybe Warren, you can put that in chat if they want to do that. I want to show you something else here. That's the objections. I want to go into, we just did that. The last one. The seventh shadow seller is a seller who may have to sell. You guys have heard the word forbearance. It's coming up this summer. What's going to happen with it? We're unknown. However, some people may be a little bit concerned that they've not made house payments for a year. So this is the script. If you could sell your home for more money in this white hot market and you could preserve your equity and credit rating, would you entertain that idea? Unlike in 2006 and 2007, all those short sales, these sellers can sell with equity. There is a significant portion of the Florida population, particularly baby boomers, but not limited to baby boomers, that are selling and going to rentals. We have developers in Southwest Florida, you probably have them there, that are developing rental single family communities. I'm not talking apartments. These are homes, and they rent them out. So there could be some baby boomer seniors that would want to basically sell and rent. And that will be their last house. Okay, 3 days where I got really fast to go through this because I want to show you something. Then we'll do, I'm going to do a couple of questions and a role play. 3 easy ways to attract sellers to you. Advertise sellers wanted. If you have a buyer, advertise it. It's not a new idea. Just use your socials to do it. Number 2, this is an agent on the East Coast of Florida that heard the 7 reasons why you sellers should be on the market. He just posted that on the social. It just says, contact me to learn the 7 reasons why sellers should be on the market now. And basically he had contacts. Why don't you just put that out there on the Facebook? I thought, well, I'm teaching the class. I didn't even do it. That was a great idea. So I put it in my constant contact. We had 5 sellers reach out to us the first week. Secondly, Gary says, be the local economist of choice. I do a CBS News affiliate broadcast every 2 weeks on the market. Now, this video is on my YouTube page. You can go and watch it if you want. I'm not suggesting you want to use my video. However, it's 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes max. You can take the information from it. You can localize it to your segment of the market, have somebody get a little stand. You do a little Facebook post, Instagram post, or whatever. Start becoming the local economist of choice. And the third reason was using the WD-40. So we have time. I want to open it up for any discussion, request, any objections you have. I know a lot of people work with buyers and your guys are losing the offers or the multiple offer situation. If you want to role play how you can win even if your buyers don't, how you can have a conversation with your buyers without putting the fingerprints on the price. What, Warren, do you guys want to know other than what the Tampa Bay Bucks record will be this coming year?
I have a question. If they're not able to buy right now, let's say that they're unrealistic about what they're going to buy, or if they're saying that the prices are too high, what's a good objection handler for that?
All right, so Ashley, you know, other than you say the prices are too high, is there any other reason why you wouldn't want to take advantage of this market?
No, I just don't want to buy at the wrong time.
Okay, so what, are you renting now or are you owning?
I own.
Okay, so would you rather buy when the prices are falling?
Well, not when they're falling, no. Maybe when they've fallen all the way down, possibly, to gain more equity again.
Okay, so that would be awesome. So you would be able to get a better buy. So how's that help you on the selling side? So you're going to sell low and buy low?
No, yeah, no, I'd want to sell now and find a good deal.
Okay, so are you ready to list your home with me today?
Yes.
Done. Actually, it's not a bad philosophy. If people want to go ahead into a rental, I know people that have done that. It's not a bad move. Gary Keller sold a lot of his properties, not his primary, of course. Yeah, so if I get the listing, have I won?
Yeah.
So that's fine. All right, so let's get your house sold and then let's look for the right opportunity. Make sense?
Okay.
Anything else? I think Warren maybe Warren's busy right now. Come on, give me an objection. Would you like to hear my conversation with buyers on that, how you can win in a multiple offer market? So just type in yes or no, or Denny, hang up.
Yes.
All right, here we go. So Ashley, you're going to be my guinea pig again.
Okay.
So, all right. So we looked at the house, Ashley. This is, as I called you, you know, this house is brand new in the market. It's listed at $450,000. Is this a home you want to own?
Yes, I love it. The kids love it. Yes.
Awesome. So let me ask you, because I just met you today, so I just want to ask you a question. I call this the meat thermometer. You guys got to find a starting point. And there's no wrong answer, Ashley, based on what you see going on in the market. Is the market working in your favor or working against you as a buyer?
I would say both ways. The interest rates are fantastic, but you know, losing out on multiple offers has not been so fantastic.
So have you lost out on some multiple offers?
Yes.
Notice one thing I want you to notice, guys, everything is a question. Quit telling, selling. Questions means you're concerned about them. You're attempting to locate where they are. I mean, if you're having a party at your house, Ashley, and I called you and I said, look, I'm turning around. I can't find your house. Help me. What would you ask me?
Where are you?
There you go. Starting point. All right. So this house is $450,000. You say you want to own this house. So I guess the question is, well, by the way, has anyone ever explained to you that in this marketplace that the asking price is the starting line?
No.
Well, let me ask you now. I'm going to find out. Many times there's a buyer fatigue out there. Many times the buyers are losing out on multiple offer situations because it's either self-inflicted or agent-inflicted. Get out of your own way, you guys. It's their decision. So let me ask you, what's your favorite, if you were going to go to you like sports or concerts, if you were going to do something, what would it be?
Football game.
Okay, so you buy a ticket, the ticket's $100, yet it's a really game. It's kind of like a sellout, you know, and it gets closer to the game and it's all sold out. $100 on the ticket. What are the tickets are selling for $150 now if you want one, right?
Mm-hmm.
You understand that, right?
Right.
Well, that's the same as the market now. The $100 printed on the ticket is the asking price. The market price is what people are paying for the tickets. So my question is, are you going to be focused on the sticker price, which is irrelevant, or the market price?
The market price. I love that. I'm writing it down.
You've got to get them off that idea that the asking price has anything to do with value. And I think it's a pretty safe example, right? I mean, it's a pretty good example.
Yeah.
So at $450,000, I'll put a bow on this for you guys. At 450, what's the most you're willing to pay to own it?
I think that the most that we're qualified to pay would be $475.
I understand. There's the acknowledgement. Now you've got a probe. Notice I did not give them a price. I will not have my DNA anywhere at all on this offer, because too many times the buyers don't get the home, and who do they blame? Because they want to blame somebody. They're going to blame you and get another agent. All right, so 475. So I understand that. So let me ask you, let's say you don't get the home, hypothetically speaking, two months after it closes, you saw that it sold for 476,000. How will you feel?
I'd feel defeated because I probably could have found $1,000.
Right, and which means the 475 wasn't your top, was it?
No.
What is your best? Now, they may press me, guys. Well, what do you think? Here's my answer. I think you should give it your best. What is that?
Okay. My best would be 480.
Okay, I'll ask you again. You find out it sold at 481. How do you feel?
Sad.
And
That we don't have any more money than that. That would be taking money from friends and family, and we would be maxed out.
so you're saying 480 is your max?
Yes.
Okay, so, well, here's the deal, Ashley. If you can sleep, I can sleep. So let's go in it with your best, right? And you guys can pop in there if you want to and ask, if you think she's being too easy on me. However, there's one more thing I think we should do. Now watch this, and put in the chat if you would do this. And I really think you should. All right, Ashley, let's just think hypothetically. Congratulations, you got the home at 480. Now, 2 months later, you're at the grocery store, you're at Publix, and two people in front of you, you happen to recognize the seller of the home you just bought. Now, the seller doesn't see you behind there. However, you overhear this conversation with the seller and the checkout person. You wouldn't believe this real estate market is so hot. I listed at 450. I had 15 offers, all between 450 and 460. And I had one at 480. Man, I love this country. How would you feel?
And I've never had anybody ask that. I would also feel maybe kind of upset, although I'd be happy that I was in the house. I don't think it would bother me.
So put in the chat if you think that's a gutsy question and one you can ask. Put it in the chat. Does anybody know why I do that? I don't see any chats going on there. Come on, your fingers are broke. Gutsy and definitely asking. Oh, nice. Oh, thank you. How many have you ever heard the story? Listen, I've been around the block long enough. I know if that happens, and it can happen, you guys, will that buyer be upset with you when they paid 480 and the next best offer was 465?
Probably.
Yes, that's why you have to bookend it where you become blameless in the scenario. Now, if she said, no, I wouldn't be, I would feel bad about it. Okay, well, it didn't happen. Then what's your best offer? 470. Okay, when you find out it sold for 471, what would you do? I'm taking right back through it. So I have time for a question, or how about this? Just anyone willing to give me an aha? Can I buy a vowel? Will anybody talk to me?
Come on, people, give them an aha.
I like the self-discovery and all the questions. It's just a matter of really, and I'll say it, instead of memorizing scripts, it's maybe I shift that practice a little bit and work it that way and put the questions in. Maybe I'm just practicing the wrong way. That's an aha. So it makes me go back and look at my implementation.
Well, Jennifer, I invite you to join me on my Tuesday class, or just go to my YouTube channel. I've got like 100 hours of this where you can just listen to it, and it becomes, it's a little bit weird, until you get used to it. However, do you like the technique of just asking instead of telling? That's the question.
I do. And from where I came from, I work with a lot of students, and the only way to get them to self-discover was to give them options. But still, when you're giving them options, you're talking it instead of asking them to come up with, directing it so they come up with options, if that makes sense.
Thank you, Jennifer. One more aha. One more.
I'll give one extra one. I've been talking a lot, but everybody in our office is shy, apparently. I liked your quote, would you rather leave the casino a day early or a day late? I think that's great, and I'm going to post that on my social media shortly. Because some people are saying, well, what if it goes higher? But also, what if it doesn't?
There's a great philosophy when you're working with people is that you do your best to parallel them, not go at right angles. Well, hey, I think the market's going to crash. Just stay with me, Ashley. I think the market's going to correct itself. All right, Ashley, when do you think that's going to be?
Maybe next year.
Okay, are you owning or renting right now?
Owning.
Okay.
Renting.
Be a renter.
Renting.
So let me ask you, is there a possibility it won't crash?
Well, I mean, there could be. We don't know the future.
Do you know how long it's been going up?
No.
All right, 12 years. Would it surprise you that I had people tell me that 10 years ago they didn't want to buy? They're still renting because they thought the market was going to change. Do you think they made a mistake?
Yes.
So how will you feel a year from now if the market goes up another 15% and you decided not to step into it?
I would kick myself for it.
And by the way, when you buy this house, how long are you going to live there? Are you going to flip it, or is this going to be like, a 10 or 15-year home?
Probably a 10-year home.
So is it possible any minor fluctuations in the market don't really matter if you have that horizon? You see what I'm doing? Did I tell them anything? Tell them what you know and don't tell them what you don't know. We don't know what's going to be in the future. However, we've got to make them think, right? So Warren, I appreciate you and your market center.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you.
So I'll see you at a Bucks game maybe one day. Let's go Brady, go Bucks. Let's see, in 14-3, Super Bowl repeat.
Awesome. Guys,
All right.
give
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.